All right, I guess it's that time again. 3DB, Delhi, Nagari. We've seen it so many times before. What's so different about this one, Pigeon? Well, if you subscribe, I'll tell you. All right, thank you. Let me show you. Right here, this is the difference. 3DB this time will not be the one on the Delhi. That's right. Instead, he's going to be the one experiencing the Delhi here on Nagari, but he's going to be manning the Abbasids. Now, this is intriguing to me because I'm sure 3DB would have expected the Delhi to be his opponent in this one. He knows that Salami is a spammer of this. He has to, right? He's encountered him a few times previously on the ladder. Everyone at this point knows that they see the name Salame1. Instead of just pronounce it Salami, they try to actually like read it out. They'll instantly go, ah, yes, that's the guy that likes to play Delhi all the time. That's like the infamous non-stop, always trying to flop Delhi player. So it seems like 3DB chose this, if anything. To beat Abbasids against this opponent is a brave endeavor. Let's see if it pays off. For those wondering, by the way, Salami is still pretty competitive. He's sitting at 43rd right now. So sunk about 10 or 20 in the last day or two compared to where he was. 821 games played, and the majority of them are indeed on this Civ he's playing right now, on the Delhi. Meanwhile, 3DB has been rocking all the way up to the top and then flopping down a little bit lower again. Right now, 3DB is sitting in 86th place on the leaderboards with 1,692 elos. So these guys are pretty tight in terms of the elo rating, but 3DB has proven himself very capable. In fact, I think at his height, he was in like maybe the top 20, almost top 10. So he's a very capable player. For those unfamiliar, 3DB, he has a background as a StarCraft 2 player. He's a CIS player, or I think Russian specifically. He's earned about $10,000 in his career earnings, about a quarter of that being in this year alone in 2021. Meanwhile, Salami, some people probably are less familiar with this name because Salami's background is actually elsewhere, believe it or not. He's not known necessarily for his Age of Empirings, no. He actually has a background as an Apex Legends player. I don't know if he actually made it on a team, but he was definitely competing a decent amount. I think he always came around like the 14, 20th, 36. I'm just reading them off now. 14, 38, 15, 36. So you can see, like, he hasn't really had that success. He's always been trying to grind into Apex Legends, never was able to succeed there. So kind of a really interesting switch up for an FPS gamer, right? To shift away from Apex Legends and you go, okay, what's next for my career? Age of Empires. Don't think anyone could have seen that switch up coming. So far, I'm kind of impressed, though. I think he must have grown up on this type of game, right? That he clearly had some experience with RTSs when he was younger. I would assume that much, but still impressive the way that he's so quickly adjusted into the Age of Empires 4 setting and is able to actually compete and sometimes even beat the best of the best, right? The people like the Vipers, the Doubts, the Heras of the world. So, open and wide, Salami already on the center leg. We are going to see, I was about to say, are we going to see 3DB do what I think he's going to do? This is such a smart play, guys. You should always try this when you're up against Delhi players. It's working so effectively at the moment because a lot of Delhi players aren't realizing it's an occurrence. I think give it like another week, they'll start wising up to this, what you're doing. But if you're up against Delhi and you're playing on Nagari, there's no way you can contest the central lake, right? There's absolutely no way you can get onto it early. So what does he do instead? He doesn't take his own lake because he also understands that Salami's second notice on water is going to be to go for his opponent's side, right? Deny him there. So instead, he's going to sneak to the back. And what's going to happen is Salami will check center lake, see nothing there. He'll check the back lake of his opponent, see nothing there. And he'll go, I'm playing Delhi. My opponent just doesn't want to deal with me. Right? He doesn't want to have to try and combat the fishing boats, so he's just not on water yet. But he will be in the south, far, far away from the eyes of Salami. Meanwhile, about to be in the face of Salami, this move out of 3DB is something that Salami is not ready for. No military infrastructure on land, and Rams coming out. And this is so cool in this matchup. Oh my god, guys, 3DB, he's so big brain. You have to remember that the Abbasids, they get access to build into Rams, to build into these early siege weapons, the Rams and the siege towers, at the beginning of the game. Dark Age, baby. They do not even need to go up to the feudal and get their hands on the siege engineering. Instead, they can just move them around like they're doing now. And Salami will react. Has now got a Rax placed down, looking to combat his opponent. Will force the Spearman out. Ram moving in. He's just trying to dodge out the fishing boat shots. This is a little bit wonky for him right now. He needed to go for the Rax, but he didn't realize it was there, so Salami might be able to repel him. This Baron Ram doing decent damage, but it's burning so quickly at this stage. That's a big costly investment. Remember, 300 wood to build these units. And just like that, it is already gone. Wow, loses the spears, loses the Ram. That is such a costly loss for 3DB. We'll have to see how he's going to recover from this, because the whole concept behind that, right, is that you just keep the spears inside. If the scouts come nearby to throw mollies at you, you just move out and stab them, and they insta-die. But because there's a spears spam coming out from this Rax right on the front from Salami, because he read this so perfectly, there's no ability to combat it. It's almost like Salami's maybe experienced this before, because I feel like that Rax must have been in place before that, because there's no way he would have built it quick enough once he got the original scout out. So now, in an awkward situation, 3DB going to try to get on the back war as well as the one that he's already secured at his opponent's back. Because originally the plan would have been that he wanted to get the water side where his opponent is closest, right, down the south, and then he would have wanted to go on the center lake after sniping out the dock. But that's just not feasible anymore. Like, if you try to ram rush again, you basically, and that fails, you basically call GG. Right now, 3DB can at least find a way to recover in this game after the wonky opening. One cool thing to at least keep in mind that both these civs can do, if you are forced off the water, it's not the end of the world. You've always got these berry bushes, but that's kind of the cool defeat of this, right? Because he's gathering so much food right now, because he actually needs additional food because he's pushing out military units as well. I don't think Salami's going to suspect that he's on the lakes, right? He's not going to look in the south. He's definitely going to look in the south. He's probably not going to look in the north, because he's moved past the base and he saw 12 people sitting on the berry bush line right now. So in his eyes, 3DB has given up on the waterfront entirely, which means that Salami might get complacent and he might just hang back and just look to tech boom up because he thinks he's got full control here. And definitely kind of feels that way when you see these walls getting dropped like this. He's just penning his opponent in. And he might eventually spot what his opponent has done, but even if he does spot it in the south now, he's going to be so out of position, this could be very hard to move in position quick enough to deny 3DB this water space now. Especially when... Oh my god, no. 3DB, come on, please. I was about to say, especially when he should be close to going for the tech up. He didn't even have the House of Wisdom yet because he was denied on the wood front. He'll finally get the resources required. Remember, House of Wisdom is not too pricey on that 50 wood. But, of course, he was draining himself dry off the back of having 2 docks operational already. So there we go. Tech underway. Is going to be Eco Wing. Almost always is. I can't remember the last time I saw someone go for something other than Eco Wing. Fresh food stuff is just too good. And then scaling in later, getting access to the castle aid. If you need to switch over to farms, right? You've already got that in position now that you've got Eco Wing to get agriculture. There's a lot of benefits to going first with this. There's not really any benefits to the other things, right? The whole concept of camel support is wonky as all hell. Doesn't really give a big enough boom to make it worthwhile. The idea behind preservation of knowledge, the reduction of cost and research by 30% is nice, but at that stage in the game, you're not really saving that much if you think about it. If you choose to map it out and you think about saving 30% on these early researches, which, for example, you see double broadaxe, 75 food, 175 gold. If you actually map out your savings there, after producing a few villagers, you've saved more in villager cost from getting fresh foodstuffs than you would have saved on this research, right? Not to mention, a lot of players are selective about their researches early. The primary ones being picked up are wheelbarrow, and the other side of it being survival techniques and professional scouts, or mainly professional scouts, if you're going to go into the pro scouts play where you gather up the deer carcasses. And I don't think I need to talk to you about Spice Roads. Spice Roads is a nice concept, and we've seen a few players try it, but if you are planning to do a trade economy as Abbasids, do not get Trade Wing first. Get Trade Wing for the castle age up. That's when you've started to ramp up your trade route, and that's when Spice Roads will really start to see returns. Okay, 3DB tries to stop the walls going up, just about gets in position. I think Salami still has... No, he hasn't even looked. See? This is what we're talking about. Look at the map vision. Just look at the mini-map in the bottom and you'll see exactly what we were talking about. This is the arrogance, right? The confidence with which Delhi players play. They would never assume a player would have went on their back lake. And that's why you get away with it. That's why 3DB is able to keep up like this. It's why, despite the fact that Salami is about ready to tech up, 3DB almost is as well. And if he starts triggering it sooner, he'll be able to match the timer. And then you have a pretty interesting kind of mid-late game where both of them are just going to be funneling out man-at-arms non-stop, right? I say interesting. That probably sounds incredibly boring, but That's when we get into Mangonel spammers, right? Who's going to have the edge there? Is there going to be a play into Elephants from Salami? Does he really want to do that against Abbasids? Because remember, Abbasids are incredibly scary for Elephant spammers, courtesy of this right here, the increased attack range of your Spearman via the Phalanx research. And yeah, it looks like he's already playing into that, right? Hardened Spearman upgrade. Could easily go in the Phalanx as well. I think 3DB is paranoid he's going to get Elephant rushed at this rate. And it's going to be Compound of the Defender. So even more likely that we see Elephants. We usually see players bait themselves into the Man-at-Arms too early if they go for House of Learning. Just because, ooh, home blades, wow. And then they realize after they built like 2 stables and 3 racks, they go, oh, home blades takes 15 minutes to research. If anyone was wondering why that's so bad, it's still free, Pigeon. Oh, you know, home blades are still amazing. You just need to get to it. Yeah, I can say that about many things. Like, having a full army of hand cannons is amazing. I still have to get to it, which means I need to have the economy to support that, and I also need to get to a late game situation to unlock that. Realistically, you don't play these games like that. It's actually a reason why we don't see that many players engaging with trade also in 1v1s, is because realistically, trade is a 10-15 minute ahead plan, right? Unless you specifically can guarantee like 80% of the time you're going to have that window, right? Like you're up against a super greedy Civ that doesn't play early mid-game at all. You're not going to lean into those because you're essentially just tripping yourself up. Yeah, here come the Spearmen. 5 racks. I always get paranoid when I see this because Phalanx hasn't been researched yet, and there's a certain exploit which can be exploited. But I don't expect that at 3DB. 3DB, he's a pro player. He doesn't want to cheese. You can see it's just going to be Phalanx researched in the 1 racks. So he will get that additional juicy range, though. Putting him up at, what, yeah, 0.5 towers? Quite the advantage. It means that usually the problem with trying to counter Elephants with spears is you stab and then you get in the way of the other Spearmen. When you have that extra range, it should allow you to stab over the top of the other Spearmen, right? So instead of having one front line, just getting their initial stabs in and then having to back off, you're going to have a secondary line engaging. And as you chase down, you're basically going to have double the amount of units able to consistently stab into Elephants that you would if you were another Civ. It's going to be cool to see this highlight as well, because I definitely think Phalanx has only ever been highlighted so far for the wrong reasons in Age of Empires 4, aka the exploits. So it'll be fun to see it being utilized for the right reasons, right? And getting to see how powerful it can be without it being powerful because someone broke the game. Here you go, Salami. We'll feel confident now that he's teched up, but your opponent shouldn't be far behind him, right? Like, yeah, there you go. 3DB gets up. Sorry, I must have misread that. So they actually were a lot closer than I realized. I thought 3DB might be delayed by another 50 or so seconds just by how much surplus resource he had, but his economy is really just that strong. And remember, folks, this is off of 1 TC, and it's courtesy of having these double docks, right? Your opponent still only has 1 dock. He only ever invested 1 in the center. And this is a weird choice. I think Salami got paranoid. I've seen this out of a lot of Delhi players. They build 2 docks, their opponent finds a way back onto the waterfront, deletes them there, and it feels like a wasted investment. It almost feels like Salami was paranoid that might happen, so he didn't invest more. And oh, the Mangonel shot! Instantly gets rid of the archers. And that is going to be a dead dock. And Salami, fragile point in his economy, right? Barely any surplus right now, can't afford to lose his main influx of food, right? Because he's got 12 fishing boats here. That's where most of his food economy is coming from. In fact, if we look across, yeah, the moment the fishing boats can't do anything, it's just one measly villager on land gathering food. And that's going to be a problem. God damn, these Mangonels are doing God's work. And Salami doesn't have an answer. Yeah, no, Salami has no answer. He doesn't even have a siege workshop yet. Oh, this is a fatal error by him. Now Mangonel is going to chase you away. 3DB, has he just won the game? It's going to be challenging for Salami to bite back. I like what he's doing here. The Stonewall maneuver is a good one, but you need to be fast. The problem is your troops are not. Your man-at-arms are slowing down everything. Your archers could move quicker, yes, but I don't know if they could even tank a few shots. Looks like he might just get there in time, though. So he holds his opponent back, but 3DB, he sees another opportunity to go round. And he's going to be in. Salami can't keep him at bay. The spears have broken through. And the Mangonels, although you've delayed the route they have to take around, I don't know if 1 Tower Wall Elephant is going to be enough against this many spears. 3DB, with the perfect read of what his opponent's going to do in this game, already has him countered. And the food keeps churning on in. He did get back on the center lake in the south. This is really important. Salami would have been out of this game without this dot being rebuilt. Because remember, these war elephants are not cheap. They cost you 1,000 resource total, right? 400 food, 600 gold, as you can see there. And he intends to get as many of them as possible. But that did slow him down, right? That dot going down, he was not bringing in food off the waterfront for at least half a minute to a minute. And now the Mangonels riding in, looking for their targets. Hello, Stone Line. Goodbye, Stone Line. Mangonels don't understand. They're like, what? You guys were collecting rocks. We just gave you more rocks. What's the problem here? Even trying to research textiles now. Salami understands the desperation he is experiencing. The problem is that he's up against the Abbasids, and just like the Mongols, they are frustrating for this very reason. Once they push an advantage, they keep it going with the siege lines. And the Sprills now sniping out Salami's first while there's enough Mangonels here. Charge in with the spears, veteran spearmen in fact. Man-at-Arms trying to get close quick enough, but they're going to surround them. Mangonels should be able to get a shot out here. Elephant being somewhat ignored by the spears. He's trying to clean up the Man-at-Arms to keep the Mangonels alive. But look how quickly it dies. The Elephant's gone already. The damage out from each of these spears, over 30 damage per prod. And although he gets through the Mangonels, he's going to lose the main army, and he might just lose the game at this rate. I don't know how you replace your units quick enough. Springolds engaging on the Springolds. Remember, it only takes 2 shots for them to kill each other, that is. And once again, the advantage with 3DB. 3DB still has a Mangonel to work with, building a second one. Could start to build the battering rams, and now Salami looks like he's all but done. His economy cannot replace what it has lost, and I think this just might be the point where 3DB runs him through. He moves in onto the villager lines. Stab him, stab. Everything needs to die, he says. Everything will die. And this is desperation. Trying to just get Springles out at this stage isn't going to be good enough. He doesn't have the infrastructure to push out Man-at-Arms quick enough. And trying to resort to archers at this point. Yes, they're a counter to the spears, but you need to get enough of them. And there's just too many spears in your base right now. And what's the count now? 76 to 51. Somehow Salami has not tapped out of this yet. I don't know if it's delusion or just the power of anime that's compelling him, but he thinks he's got a way back into this game. I'm just not seeing it right now. Slowly but surely, as the buildings begin to burn, I think this is where Salami is going to realize it's all but over. And what a play out 3DB. What an understanding of the game. He's done this matchup. He's done this to people himself. He understands that when a Delhi player gets access to that central lake, he's not going to only be compelled. The temptation is going to be too strong, right, to go for the elephants. Suddenly, Delhi becomes Golem, and the elephant is the one ring, right? And it's the only way that you see the game. And it's exactly what we saw out at Salami here. He gets baited into it. 3DB already has the counter, and he has a better counter than most civs have, courtesy of that phalanx range on these spears. And then the ability to build out in the field allows him to keep pushing his advantage. That's the thing about the Abbasids. They are a very static, a very slow civ. But once they ramp up, once they start to aggress, once they gain ground, as long as they keep the flurry of troops coming out, everything else will join them because they are able to build out in the field, same as the Mongol factor. And if you do not show them that same courtesy, that same level of respect you would show a Mongol player, this can be the outcome of the game. And we don't get to see it often, but for once, Abbasid are looking mighty strong here with spears alone. The desperation Wallalor play, if he'd gotten that off, that would have been the highlight of the year for me, but I don't think so, son. Pull away just in time, burning through all of the landmarks. And, well, Abbasids against Delhi. For once, we watched the Abbasids win here in Nagari. GG, 3DB takes the win.